good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday. How is it going? Oh, my... Okay, all right. Woohoo! All right. Yes, the caffeine levels are slightly elevated this morning. As you can tell, the brain all of a sudden was like, say all the things all at once. All of them right now. Woo! It's Friday, y'all. Happy freaking Friday to you. Oh, cheers. We made it, chat. And listen, like, this week didn't want me to stream. If you missed it this week did not want me to stream. Somebody scheduled a meeting on my calendar first thing Monday morning, which canceled the threat brief. Somebody scheduled a meeting on my calendar yesterday morning, which was the rescheduled threat brief. Of all the other mornings that they could have scheduled meetings for, they picked the 2 mornings that I was going to stream. I turned off my calendar. I was like, I ain't getting no meetings this morning. I hope nothing's going on important that I need to be a part of. We're here, chat. We are here. Whew. Happy Friday. Happy freaking Friday. You guys, Beard and I were talking about, pre-stream type of stuff. And I can't wait for the new year to come around. Beard and I've got some things that we were chatting about. But the music conversation is always the best conversation in the morning, right? Because it's like, what music do we pick? And it's like, not rap. Not rap. We've had a few missed goes with the rap playlist a little bit these last couple times. We've had to dip out on the rap playlist just in case the Twitch guys kind of come back around. So we decided to switch it up this morning. We went with a little bit of the aim to the head that we use for the co-working stream, and it did not disappoint. Did not disappoint. Welcome to Friday morning. Cheers. Got my coffee. Oh, that's good caffeine. You can see, I brought the cup today. So you kind of see what the caffeine level is. This is the caffeine level that gets me here pre-stream, right? Pre-stream. Woo. Thank you, Labda, for the gifted subs. Thank you so very much. To be fair, the streamer isn't really stream friendly either. It's good to see you too, buddy. It's good to see you too. If you're new here, thank you so very much for tuning in today. I truly appreciate it. Welcome to Cyber Insecurity. My name is Neal Bridges. I did verify my identity with BeardSec this morning. I am still who I am. Thank God for that. If you're a regular visitor, thank you so very much for tuning in. Welcome to your Friday morning of caffeine. We're glad you're here. This is our Friday morning AMA stream, Ask Me Anything, where after a long week of putzing around the cybersecurity space, we decided to come on here and come hang out and give you an opportunity to talk with me real time, ask me any questions that may be burning in your mind about literally anything cyber related, hacking related, blue team related, threat hunting, threat intelligence, AI. We will definitely talk about AI. Get that AI fix, baby. Get that AI fix, right? We're going to definitely talk about some AI, some job-related stuff. You can ask me about golf cancer. When again, the key word there at the end of that is that anything. We quite literally talk about anything here on this stream. And that's how we kind of roll in the Friday and roll out the weekend, is with a little bit of chat and chill with you guys right here on a Friday. This isn't the only show that we've got going on. If you're new here, we do have regularly scheduled programming that happens throughout the week. Starting this next Monday, we're going to have a new show. I haven't given it a title yet. I'll probably give it a title over the weekend. I'm really bad about titles. That's why I haven't really given it a title yet. But we're going to have a new show about social engineering starting on Monday afternoon after the threat brief, so do make sure you do have your notifications turned on that. Monday, threat brief and social engineering content. Wednesday, we've got Brandon with Daily Cyber. Friday, we've got T with a hacker, and then sprinkled throughout the week, we've got co-working streams. Always a reminder, regardless of the platform that you tuned into us on, do make sure you have notifications turned on so you are aware when we go live. We do have a couple rules in chat. First and foremost, no racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, or otherwise toxic behavior is allowed in chat at all, period, dot, end of discussion. We do have moderators in chat. I want to thank my moderators each and every time we stream for their constant dedication to the mission and to making sure that chat is free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, and otherwise toxic behavior. They're not here, however, to stifle chat in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, they're here to make sure that your voice gets heard. With that being said, do drop your questions in chat at any point in time. We have moderators, across all the channels, looking at chat, grabbing all the questions as they see the questions that are super important or relevant, or any question in general, topical item that you may be wanting to discuss. They'll grab them, throw them into a queue, and possibly throw them up on screen, and we will talk about them. Like this one from Sonic, who still thinks that Sonic is slow. Asks, new show, new person, yes. You guys have heard me talk ad nauseum about a good friend of mine, former CISO that I worked for a number of years ago, Bobby Ford. He's now working at a company called Doppel. He reached out to me the other day. He's kind of been released of his corporate chains. And so he's able to do more public speaking, and he's been dying to come on the show. And you guys have heard me brag and talk about Bobby ad nauseum over the last few years that I've been streaming. And so I'm super excited to be having this show dedicated with Bobby Ford. Go out there, find Bobby Ford on LinkedIn. Go ahead and shoot him a LinkedIn connection request. Tell him you heard that he's going to be sharing the stage with me starting on Monday, talking about social engineering. You guys are going to love Bobby. I absolutely freaking think he's a wealth of knowledge. He is brilliant, and you guys are going to really, really love the energy that he brings to this channel. It's very in line. He's a very straight shooter. And it fits right in with what it is that we are going to be talking about. So yes, ask your question at any point in time. Mods will grab it, throw it into a queue, and we will get started on it. With that being said, I always like to start off while everybody is coming into the room and getting seated. I always like to talk about some of the stuff that I'm seeing that may or may not have necessarily made its way to the top of your inbox. I want to first and foremost talk about, and somebody dropped it into general yesterday, so if you haven't seen it, hop on over into general, but Anthropic released a write-up where they had detected a pretty significant, sophisticated-ish state-sponsored attack that I'm trying to pull it up. I can't multitask. I could barely even unitask as my lovely moderator continues to remind me. Oh my God. All right. Well, anyway, somebody find the link. You can bring the link up. A Chinese state-sponsored actor was caught using Claude in agentic form to drive nation-state attacks using Claude. Which is pretty wild because, thank you, Beard. Thank you, Chris, for that. Because the thing is that these are the public versions of the chat app, which means that they have gone to crazy amounts of effort to control the guardrails that these apps are supposed to employ to prevent this type of thing from happening. So when I talk to you guys, like this should be the fuck Neal was right moment you have. For those who are keeping the fuck meter count, that's 2. Right? These guys mastered prompt engineering, input validation. Input validation is what these guys mastered in a way that tricked Anthropic to do offensive malicious attacks. Right? Anthropic reported that they were going to have annual revenues of $100 billion before OpenAI. They are spending money out the ass to be the best AI that exists out there. They are the best coding model that exists out there. They are arguably leading the way, and state-sponsored attackers figured out how to leverage them to conduct and run their agentic offensive cyber operations. Why? Not because of a 0-day, not because of model leakage, 100% because of prompt engineering. 100%. Go read that report, because there's some trends that are, like, there's some definitive trends that are in there that I think are valuable for every cybersecurity professional when it comes to understanding AI. Case in point, MCP by Anthropic's own definition, model context protocol. Anthropic specifically says in their own write-ups and ecosystem that they are treating MCP as the universal tool adapter. Universal tool adapter. So if you needed something else to add to your AI direct injection learning curve, besides prompt injection, go learn about MCP servers. Go build one. They're super easy, and you can vibe code them. You can vibe code an MCP server really, really easily, and then you can figure out how to break it and play with it. But I did think that's, go read that post that Beard and Chris put into chat. We will see more of that. We will see more of that. Right? We will definitely see more of that. I think one of the things that I talked about with some friends that I'm having conversations with in this space was really about like they're doing it with Claude, and that's all well and good, but understand that Claude is just the public version of those LLMs. It is actually really easy to reproduce what it is they did in your own environment. So here's how you do it. If you're on Mac, go download LM Studio. Right? If you're on Mac, go download LM Studio. You can also download Ollama. Go ahead and get started with Ollama. You can do that too. LM Studio or Ollama. 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 From there, now, I like LM Studio better because LM Studio has an easier way for you to peruse Hugging Face. Does LM Studio work on PC? I didn't know LM Studio worked on PC. Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you, Dosco. LM Studio has a better way for you to see which models run best on your architecture. For example, if you're on Mac, MLX and Q4 Quants are the best models to run on your infrastructure. But you can go, I posted a picture in Discord last night. I find myself, if anybody still does torrenting, of movies and music and stuff like that, like where you see something, you just like download, where you're just like downloading models. I was perusing Hugging Face last night, and I was just downloading models left and right. Tons of models that you can get, uncensored models all day long. Like you can legitimately go get all the uncensored stuff that you want off a Hugging Face. There's no guardrails around that whatsoever. They've got offensive security models, they've got thinking models, they've got coding models, they've got all sorts of models. Point is, you can go download any of these models today and run them on your computer today. The future is SLMs, or small language models. I'm telling you that right now. That's terrible, Bay. That's terrible. That's funny, but that's terrible. Anyway, most LM Studio and most of these models are set up for tooling integration. So you can run MCP server with most of these models. And so you can simulate exactly what is in this Anthropic report today. You don't need anything special to do that today. That's a lab thing that anybody can do today. You need no special knowledge. You need no special training, right? You need none of that. Go download LM Studio or Ollama. Go find you some models. Start playing with MCP servers. You can do it locally. and you start doing that today. I definitely think that is something everybody should be paying attention to. I have more as usual, but I did want to talk about that one. There was, on that Anthropic one, I did take a screenshot of this, right? Somebody was bitching because Anthropic's report provided no IOCs. And I want to talk about that a little bit, right? Anthropic isn't a cyber company. Anthropic isn't a threat intelligence company. So of course they're not going to have IOCs. Of course they're not going to know what the IOCs were for that campaign, because that's not what they're set up to do. They're set up to handle modeling and to handle answering questions. This is why I think it's important for you guys to understand cyber. This post got over 5,000 views and people chiming in that Anthropic is shit because they didn't give IOCs and therefore their entire threat intelligence report is garbage. That, if you're in that camp, if you think because Anthropic didn't give IOCs that they suck at their job, you don't understand what their job is. Right? Their job isn't cyber. Their job isn't threat intel. Their job is large language models. Their job is to train a model on inputs and outputs. MCP is a tool interface, which means that they speak to Claude. Claude interfaces with the MCP server, and the MCP server interacts with the tool on behalf of the direction of the LLM. There's no IOCs that could be given. It's an instruction base. So, of course, there's no fucking IOCs to be given. So, before you say something stupid on social media, make sure you understand how a company works and how their attackers are actually interacting with the infrastructure, so you understand whether you're making a dumbass fucking statement or not. That pissed me off this morning. When I saw that one. I was like, what? And, I'm not going to say that one. I'm not going to say that. It was stupid, okay? It was absolutely stupid. We're almost out of caffeine, folks, and we're only 15 minutes in. Shit. All right. I had another one here that I wanted to talk about. All right. That's right. So I posted this one in Discord too, but I knew I was going to talk about it this morning. Headline on windowscentral.com. Right, so you already know it's going to be messed up because I'm talking about Microsoft and I'm talking about Windows, right? Here's the headline from Windows Central. Quote, Windows president says platform is evolving into an agentic OS. Gets cooked in the replies, quote, straight up, nobody wants this. Remember last week? Last week I talked about this. Somebody go pull the tape. Last week I talked about how before long there was going to be a fully agentic operating system where you spoke it into existence, right? And the operating system would execute on it. After going back and forth, I did find the tweet. Beard, I'll send this to you for you to decide where to put this. I found the tweet from the Windows president that made the statement. I didn't grab the link to the tweet because I know some people don't have Twitter, but I did at least grab the link to the tweet. Where's my beard sec? There it is. Drop this here. Boom. Right? So the tweet from the president at Microsoft says, and I quote, Windows is evolving into an agentic OS, connecting devices, cloud, and AI to unlock intelligent productivity and secure work anywhere. Join us at Microsoft Ignite to see how frontier firms are transforming with Windows and what's next for your platform. We can't wait to show you. And the first comment is, stop this nonsense. Nobody wants this. You live in a Twitter bubble where AI will create tons of wealth and you will perish unless you adopt it now. But your users are not in this bubble. They don't care about any of this shit. They chat with ChatGPT, and that's about it. Yes. Yes, it's in general now. Thank you, Beard, for that. Yes, Microsoft is going all in on the AI copium. Now, listen, this is where a lot of the bubble comes from. This is where a lot of the bubble conversation comes from, right? Because AI or Microsoft is shoving AI down their throats, whether it is consumer or enterprise. They are on by default with Copilot. They are forcing you to use Copilot for everything. They're pushing everything towards that model inside of Azure, right? They've obviously announced Windows 11 being, very invasive when it comes to Copilot. They're talking about this MS Ignite speech where they're talking about the agentic OS, right? You could argue that they're just trying to lean into it. But this is why people think that there's a bubble, is because they have made a massive investment in infrastructure. They have for years. Microsoft has always been infrastructure strong, right? On top of that, they've bought and owned stake in OpenAI. They have a crazy deal with OpenAI, which allows them to run OpenAI on their infrastructure. In addition to DeepSeek, in addition to Llama from Meta, they run everything inside their infrastructure. And so they have to get organizations to adopt it, and they have to shove it down their throat so that they can prove that they are making money on it. Because, and this is why I tell you guys, this is why I say an MBA, a business education, is the most important thing in cyber, because this is business. This is business. People are pricing in what's known as forward earnings. That's P&E, right? Forward earnings. People are pricing in forward earnings about what Microsoft could potentially earn in the forward on their investment in AI. So they're buying the stock now, raising the stock price up in anticipation of forward earnings of Microsoft. So what happens if nobody adopts AI? Microsoft comes in and says, we've seen no adoption of our AI capabilities despite our investment, despite us shoveling it down people's throats like a winter blizzard in Chicago. To the stock price. That is why people think they're a bubble. And that leads me to the one video. Beardsec and I looked through several videos this morning to try to figure out which one we thought was appropriate. And this is the one that I think encapsulates the fear in the market around AI.
AI is going to change the entire world and do it much faster than anything we've ever seen before. Much faster than the internet, certainly faster than the Industrial Revolution. That is terrifying to me. I mean, I'm not so complacent, and I look at through my companies and how we spend money and what I can do with AI agents that I do with humans today, and it's terrifying for the people. I mean,
Do you expect to lose people?
I think we have to let people go, right? We can, with jobs of 15 people, can be done with a chatbot that costs me $36 a month. I mean, it's the white collar jobs, and you're seeing this is a very ominous sign, this rise in unemployment for the 18 to 24 year olds, which I think has gone to 4 to 9%. What is that? Are we all slowing down hiring kids because chat can do the work we used to give them, the grunt work, the real research tasks that they used to do? And it's pretty amazing when you start using this material. And we are, I think most companies, I'm on the business council with 250 CEOs of almost every industry, and they are laser focused on how to change their processes and save money. But at the end of the day, that probably means that there'll be less employment.
That's one. I also gathered another interview from a former Google CEO who is scared of the same thing. There is a large consolidation of CEOs that are genuinely concerned. Genuinely concerned. And Beard's right. Beard is 100% right. Right? There's a little bit of a catch-22 here for some CEOs. There is a little bit of a catch-22 here for some CEOs. If a singular $36 a month chatbot can replace 15 employees, they fucked up. Right? They fucked up. And they know that that's going to, like, that is also reflective in their stock price. That is what is going to be reflective in their leadership as a company, right? Is that they have 15 employees. And this is also why I say, like, hey, let me preface this by also saying, this is also an indicator that AI isn't smarter than you, that AI isn't better than you. It's not about that. It is about that the company has mismanaged finances and that they've realized that they overhired and it is impacting their P&L. Your job will always be a line item. All right, your job will always be a line item. Where was that one that I had another one on here this morning? I had another one. Where was that one, Beard? Right? I can't wait till we do this behind the T thing. Man, I can't find the other one that I had. Anyway, you are a lot. It's a skill issue. You all have to realize that unemployment, getting a job in this industry, any of that is not a function of the certs that you have, is not a function of the knowledge that you have. It is a 100% business decision. That's it. We're out of caffeine. Kidding. I got some more right here. So what does this mean, right? I'm not dooming and glooming. I'm not dooming and glooming. My goal here, as you listen to this, right, is to try to help you see the corners that I'm looking around to try to provide you with some forward guidance, right? Let's be honest here for a second. I'm not here to tell you how to get into cybersecurity today. I'm not. You got a bunch of other jackwagons who are looking in the past that can tell you what to do today. Let me help you predict the future. Here's how we can predict the future together, chap. You can either take the bet on AI or not. There's a 50-50 shot of either. There's a 50-50 shot of either. I'm not here to tell you whether I've got some magical 8-ball that can definitively decide what side of the line that's going to be on. But you got a 50-50 shot when you decide what line of that AI stance you want to be on. And I'd say right now you are equally right on either side. You are equally right on either side. I, myself, am leaning forward into AI, especially in cyber. Because I have a belief in a company's desire to not self-implode. I have a belief that companies' self-preservation motives will outweigh the economy. I have a belief that Wall Street will win. It has nothing to do with capitalism. It has nothing to do with anything else. It has everything to do with how do I want to position myself to make sure that I don't get fucked over in this market. That's what I try to bring to you all, is that same perspective. That same perspective. I don't mind this cynicism from Callie. I am part of the C-suite. Of a startup, mind you. Which means I got my hands dirty just as much as our engineers. Right? I'm leaning hard into AI because I do believe that there is an opportunity to be early adopters. Hackers see it. That's why they're leveraging AI. Right? Hackers see it. That's why they're leveraging it. Businesses are seeing it. They're leveraging it. To me, the only people who aren't adopting it are the people who don't believe in it. And that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion. But I'm not just adopting it because I'm part of the C-suite. But I am part of the C-suite, and I do. Because again, remember, I was part of the C-suite for a long time. Remember, you could go back streams ago. You can go back years ago. You can go back years ago and see that when I was still part of the C-suite, I was still very anti-AI. I do see its cost benefits. You're right, Callie. I do see its cost benefits. I see a world where, if done right, and I want you to understand, right? I want you to understand that I will always caveat this by an if done right. It'll be a massive efficiency gain. It will be the absolute next thing to automation. It will be the absolute next thing to automation. I don't hate this take, BSEC. I don't hate this take. I do have a video. This one I won't play because this one's 2.5 minutes long. But there was a stat that they had given that there are actually only 2 countries that are this deep in AI, and it's US and China. That's it. Everybody else across the globe is literally years behind where the US and China is. And I do think that there's a little bit of truth to this, BSEC, but at the same time, when you put it in perspective globally, when there's just the US and just China, and that the rest of the country or the rest of the planet hasn't adopted AI the same way that the US and China has, you're actually not behind. Arguably, in some cases. But I do think that there is a massive, massive, massive wave coming. If it's not already here. All right, with that, that's the end of the what did Neal collect over the week. I've got a ton of stuff. Like when you look at the stuff that I gather in preparation for this stream, I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 videos that I wanted to share this morning that I know I just don't have time to share all of that with you that I thought are relevant to this crowd. But this is why I tell you, they're all business videos. They're all looking at the business world. And so that's what my constant advice to you is that if you're not paying attention, if you're not rotating business principles and business fundamentals, right, into your cyber journey, you're missing the forest for the trees. So with that, we'll go to questions. Remember to drop your questions in a chat on any of the platforms. We'll drop into some questions right now, and we'll see what you guys have got going on. Donald over on Twitch says, did you start in the military where you picked up the clearance? That's how a lot of us started in this world. I didn't start specifically in the military. I was actually in cyber before I joined the military. Actually, I joined the military when I did my 24th birthday in basic, right? So I'd actually been doing startups in the .com bubble from the time I was 18 till the time I was 24. I know you didn't, Callie. I know you didn't. I know you better than that. I got you, boo. So I'd been doing tech startups in the 90s, during the dot-com boom for a minute, and then when the dot-com bubble burst, listen, I know I've told this story before, right? I don't have a degree. I didn't have a 4-year degree in the 90s. I was like 325 of 350 in my high school class. Like, I was like dumb as a box of rocks. I still arguably am as dumb as a box of rocks. Go figure. Yeah, I knew I was going to be in before BeardSec in my ear. And so, like, the only thing I knew was computers and whatnot, and things like that. And so, I picked up a few computer jobs here and there, and was able to weasel my way into some startups based on merit. And so when the bubble popped, I had nothing to fall back on. I had literally nothing to fall back on. And so I took a 2-page resume into the recruiter office and was like, yo, can I get a job? Right? Hey, see that we got raided. Thank you, Nemax, for the raid. Appreciate you. Welcome to all the raids. I saw the welcome raiders and I was like, is that an ARC Raiders reference? For those who are coming in from the raid, welcome to our Friday AMA stream. My name is Neal Bridges, former NSA hacker. I don't really talk about it that much, but here answering all the cybersecurity questions you may have on a Friday morning as we hang out and chill for this Friday. So I knew a lot about computers and cyber before I came into the Air Force. I got super fortunate that they looked at my resume and they were like, yeah, we can absolutely get you a job, doing cyber in the Air Force. And that's what ultimately landed me into doing cyber for the Air Force was, I just lucked out and fell into it. But I got my clearance after I got in. I did not renew my clearance, and I don't regret that at all. As a matter of fact, when I talk to a lot of folks, there's a lot of us who, we don't actually miss our clearance at all. Like I had Sands Institute offered to carry my clearance for me, to keep teaching at the NSA. And I was like, no, that's a hard pass. Don't want it. I was like, nope, I'm good. You can keep that thing. I was not interested in keeping it. Like, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Not all it's cracked up to be at all. I can talk about anything. What do you want to know about? That's a pretty broad topic. Like, what exactly is it that you'd like to know about? This is an AMA. You can drop your question at any point in time. The mods will grab it, push it up on screen. We do remind folks there's no politics in chat. Right? No politics in chat. We don't talk about anything political. We will talk about cyber adjacent things. Right? We'll talk about the cyber implications of political topics, but we do not get into politics in chat whatsoever. What I want to talk about Eternal Blue, listen, everybody's tool set gets leaked. Yeah, I mean, listen, like, if one of the biggest shocks that I had coming out of the agency, was just how much organizations suck at patching, and you will never get to 100%. Ever. You will never get to 100%. Right? And so you should never be shocked that there is still Eternal Blue on systems, just like I don't get shocked when I still see Windows XP boxes with MS08 35, right? Anything like that. You shouldn't be shocked. Let me just say that. You should not be shocked. It means good job security. Do you still teach? Yes, you're tuned into my teaching session right now. I don't have courses. I was a SANS instructor for 5 years. I taught for the SANS Institute. I helped build the first functional training unit for the Air Force for offensive cyber in the Air Force. I was an instructor for the Air Force for a number of years, teaching exclusively offensive cyber. I was chief content officer at I&E and helped drive some of the cyber strategy and several of their M&As for eLearn Security and Pentester Academy, as well as a number of other M&As. I do not believe in the education system. I do not believe in the education system. I think the education system is a grift. I think certifications are a grift. And I feel I am uniquely positioned to have a very, very strong opinion on this, given all the references that I just listed for you, given all of my history with multiple education organizations, up one side, down the other. I can say with a high amount of confidence that anybody who is selling courses today is the equivalent of the grifters that we see in the fitness industry, the grifters we see in the beauty industry, the grifters we see in the healthy eating industry. People who sell cyber courses are nothing more than scammers and grifters. Clip it, mark it, post it on the internet, encourage everybody to roast me. I will stand on it. I have more than enough experience with all types of institutions to make that claim, and I firmly believe it. I firmly believe it. If you feel that you've got to pay some schmuck $99.99 for their super elite sauce Metasploit course, you haven't researched it enough. Right? I don't believe that. Right? I don't believe that. And this is a fair question from BSEC. I know BSEC agrees. BSEC asked the good leading questions, and I appreciate that, right? Where do we learn? Listen, honestly, you should, my number one statement is you should always do the free stuff first. Free. Do the free stuff. There is mountains of free stuff that exist out here. Right? There is mountains of free stuff that exist out here. Right? You should always do the free stuff first. People who are truly experts, I'm going to piss a lot of people off. Let's say this one. People who are truly experts give their shit away for free. There, I said it. I give away knowledge every week. Every time I turn on this camera, I give you free knowledge. Haven't charged a dime for it. I haven't charged a dime for knowledge in 5 years of streaming. Right? I haven't charged a dime for any of the advice I've ever given anybody on this stream for 5 years. Because the knowledge that you give, there's nothing secretive about what it is that we do. There is nothing secretive about what it is that we do. There's nothing proprietary. There is nothing that I know that you can't learn for free. Right? There's nothing that I know that you can't learn for free. There is nothing that OSCP will teach you, nothing that EC Council will teach you, nothing any schmuck on Udemy or who spins up Teachable tomorrow can teach you that isn't for free. Right? And so I think you should be going to YouTube. I think that you should leverage ChatGPT, Learn, Claude Learn, Gemini Learn. All of those chat platforms have a learning module that you can build 100% learning courses with completely and totally for free. Notebook LM, yeah, love Notebook LM. Listen, I haven't paid for it, the US government has paid for numerous SANS courses. Right? Numerous SANS courses. And yeah, 10, 15, 20 years ago, they were the shit. They were the bee's knees. Today, they're dying. They're dying. Right? They're dying today. Because everybody realizes that nothing that they're teaching is new, innovative, secretive. It's not prestigious anymore. So no, do I teach anything? Yes. Tune in to any one of my streams any day of the week, and I will teach you anything and everything that I possibly can for absolutely free every day. Yeah, nobody can afford to SANS shit. Like I've attested for years, right? You should never, out of your own pocket, pay for a SANS course, right? Your company, if you absolutely need to have a SANS course, your company should be paying for a SANS course every fucking day. Do you believe in Hack the Box and Try Hack Me? I do, because that's one of the places where the uniqueness about Try Hack the Box and Try Hack Me and Hack the Box isn't the knowledge. Let me get this straight. Let me slow down for this one. Let's pull the caffeine level back just a tad. Right? Hack the Box and Try Hack Me's value isn't in the content. It's in their infrastructure. Hear me when I say that. Their value isn't in the content, it's in the infrastructure. Right? Their value comes that they have built the infrastructure to support labs. And that's a cost you don't have to incur. That is a cost that you get the benefit of volume pricing, right? They can charge, what is it, $5, $15 a month, whatever it is. And when they have hundreds of thousands of people, they get the discounted rates on AWS and Azure and everything else, right? Right? So I do think that Try Hack Me and Hack the Box are valuable because you're paying for their investment in infrastructure. You're not paying for content. Make sure you do understand the difference there. They do have a ton of free shit. They're one of the people who still does have a shit ton of free content. And you know what I mean? Like, rule number one, and there's an entire clip on it. Go bookmark the clip. Remind yourself every time you say, should I pay money for this? Play the clip. Do the free shit first. With that being said, Mr. Militant, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it. Listen, for those who do sub, we do take all profits from this stream, and we do turn around and buy training for the community. I don't take a dime from this stream. I do not take a dime for this stream at all. Everything that we Listen, I might be ADHD, I might be a little caffeinated. I'm also super forgetful. Like, I tell people this all the time. You're not going to piss me off for reminding me, right? You're not going to piss me off for reminding me, because Lord knows I fucking forget shit. I'd forget to stream if I didn't have Beardsack texting me at all god-awful hours in the morning and be like, yo, get your fucking ass up and get up here to stream. Anyway. But I do think you should get your hands on, right? I do think you should get your hands on stuff. Speaking of getting your hands on stuff, what are your thoughts on vibe coding? I think everybody, like, listen. Listen. Everybody should be vibe coding. Let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about vibe coding for a second. Coding. So coding has a weird relationship in cyber. right? Coding has a weird relationship in cyber. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of folks who have cybersecurity jobs that have never coded a day in their life. And they are amazingly successful in cyber. And this speaks cyber ties to what you just asked there, right? Does everyone need to know coding for a while to do vibe coding? Right. No, absolutely not. And that's the problem. Not a problem. I shouldn't say it's really a problem. That's the crux of it, right? You do not have to be a technologist and to vibe code. There are people out there. There are people out there who are MBAs and business people who have vibe coded apps into existence and are making more money per month than you'll make in 10 years. Not because they're smart, not because they've been writing Python for 20 years, but because they know how to pull up Cursor, Claude Code, and vibe code the shit into existence. And you can sit there and poo-poo on it. You can sit there and poo-poo on it all you want. Those people are still making millions of dollars every month on an app that they spent 7 days vibe coding. Right? So poo-poo on it all you want. Be a nihilist, be a perfectionist, be a purist all you want. They're still making more money than you. Right? And so, no, if you're trying to be a purist and be like, no, I refuse to vibe code because it's a stupid name. I pick on beer because I can. It is a stupid name. I think it's the most retarded name ever. It's really ridiculous. But at the same time, it's true. When you can tell an LLM, I've got a prompt here for vibe coding an MCP server. And it's a 5-stage prompt that allows me to build a remote MCP server. Right? I don't know how to build an MCP server. I didn't until I vibe coded it and reversed it. This is not true either. You don't have to have secure code for it to be vibe coded. Right? You can tell in your prompts to vibe code security in. And I think that's what some of you are missing. Just because the people who have vibe coded apps aren't smart enough to ask Claude Code to include security stuff in the code doesn't mean that you can't vibe code in security. And now think about this. Think about this. If you can simply vibe code in security, what is it that you think you should be testing? Right? What is it that you think you should be testing? Because if you're like, oh, that's fine, I'll just security test all the vibe coded apps because nobody vibe codes in security. No, you can vibe code in security. Then what? What are you going to test then? Right? I'm a huge fan of vibe coding. Everybody, and again, hate the name, whatever. It is what it is. You should pick up Claude Code today. You should pick up VS Code with a client extension. You should go download LM Studio and get you a Code Llama local quant, model. And you should go vibe code you some stuff. Most of you guys will be super impressed with the amount of imagination that you have on the tools that you can create when you start vibe coding it, when you don't have to worry about coding in Python. Right? When you realize that you can lower the barrier to entry to creating your own cybersecurity tools through vibe coding, you will start to learn and appreciate how much more valuable it is to vibe code than to spend months, if not years, trying to learn Python from scratch. And Beardsec's right. It is always valuable to learn how systems work. One of the things that you will always hear on this channel from almost anybody in the community is that it is important for you to understand how systems work. But I'm also a man who believes that I can give you a fish so that you're not starving today, so that I can then teach you how to go out and fish. Right? And so I'd rather tell you, go vibe code some security tools. Cool. Now you are starting to vibe code some security tools. Let's talk about systems. Let's talk about why you do things the way that you're doing. Let's talk about TTPs. Let's talk about operational methodologies. Let's talk about things like that. That's what we're talking about, right? But we're not going to be here. The person who asked if I teach, I'm not going to teach you how to code Python here on this stream. I'm not going to teach you how to run Metasploit here on this stream. That's not my goal. Go learn that for free. Right? Go learn that for free. But if you want to understand how real TTPs work, if you want to understand how real attackers look at infrastructure, if you want to understand what an operational methodology looks like, you've come to the right place. You come to the right place. Hey, the Python command did work. That's cool. We do have multiple hours of free Python training over on the YouTube channel. Go hit up the YouTube channel and go learn that Python training for free. Why? Why go learn the Python training for free, chat? Why? Do the free stuff first. What about TCM security? What about it? My statement applies to every training vendor out there. Like, you could replace this with offensive security. You could replace this with eCounsel. You could replace this with CompTIA. You could replace this with INE. You could replace this with Cyber. You could replace, what about here? My statement is ubiquitous. Every training company that exists that charges you for free content, every organization that charges you for free content that is easily accessible on the internet is a grift and a scam. I don't care what the name is. When you choose who to model yourself after, modern social media has taught us, regretfully, that the person who drives around in a Lambo with Gucci pants and Balenciaga sneakers and a Rolex watch, because they've got all these fancy things, is clearly doing something right. So therefore, I should believe what it is that they tell me. Because if I believe what it is that they tell me, I could be just like them. I could have a Lambo. I could have a Rolex. I could have a Gucci pair of pants. Right? If you model your desire for success after somebody's material things, you're not in it. You're not in it. Right? You know how they got their Gucci pants, their Lamborghini, and their Rolex watch? They got it either by renting it, or if they did buy it, somebody had to give them the money to get it. Who do you think gave them the money to get it? Haven't you ever heard the statement that those stock trader guys who are offering their course on, model my trades and make $10,000 a month? Do you think those guys made $10,000 a month trading? Or did they make $10,000 a month selling you a course? Right? The people who are making money don't need your $99.99 a month. The people who aren't bragging about the cars they got in their garage, the people who aren't showing up on stream with Rolexes, I got a cheap old Apple Watch and a whoop. I don't need to brag about the stuff that I got. I don't need that money. Does that mean I don't have it? Should I go out and post my cars up on social media so you guys respect me more? Is that what you're telling me? I know the answer to that. The answer is no. Right? Be smart about who you choose to give your money to. I'm not here to bash anybody. Everybody's got to make a living. I'm all for everybody making a living. I'm all for everybody getting their paycheck. Everybody should be out there trying to get their own. I want everybody out there on their own. And part of wanting you to be out there on your own is to not give away your money for stupid shit. Right? There is no easy way to make money. If money were easy, everybody would have it. Like, I think that's the boomer in me, right? If money were easy, everybody would have it. And there are definitely some people, I would argue that today it's easier to get lucky than it has been any other time in history. Right? This is the vibe coding example. Right? This is the vibe coding example. There are people who have vibe coded apps and have been the first to market and have made a lot of money. And that may seem easy. It may seem easy to you, but you didn't see. It took that person vibe coding an app for 7 days who knew nothing about technology. They had to learn how to install Cursor. They had to learn about prompting. They had to learn how to stand up infrastructure. They had to learn just enough to get that product into market. They took the risk to do so, and that may look easy, but it's not. It's not easy to take risk. Right? And so, first thing that I would tell people when you think about how to make money is stop thinking that making money is easy. Making money isn't easy because taking risk isn't easy. Back to cyber, right? This is why risk management is in everything that we do. Beard Tech's right on this one too, right? Not Beard Tech, BSEC, too many secs, right? Number one way to make money is take risk. It's also the number way to lose money. Absolutely. But that's why they call it risk. That's why they call it risk. Some of you want to make money and you want it to be easy. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Even cybercrime. I saw somebody say ransomware in there, right? Ransomware is a risk, right? Risk getting arrested. There's a lot of that going on here lately, right? A lot of that going on here lately. How should you make money? By right? To date, so let's go back to what BSEC said, right? The number one way to make money is by taking risk. It's also the number one way to lose money. So if we go based on that premise right there, how should you make money? If you want to have your highest likelihood, listen to the words that come out of my mouth. If you want to have the highest likelihood to make the most amount of money, you start a business. Now, that's your highest likelihood of the most amount of money. There are obviously devils in the details, right? The business has to be successful, has to have, a good monetization model, has to provide value. And that is why it is the highest risk. Right? That is why. It is the highest risk, highest reward. Which is why I say the likelihood of the most amount of money is to start your own business. Everything that chat says is right. It is the highest risk. It's the highest way to go into debt. It is risk reward. And then it trickles down from there. And it all just boils down to having gainful employment. Gainful employment. I'll say this one last thing on training, and then I'll move on to a different topic, right? I saw some people talk about morals and ethics earlier in the stream, values and whatnot. One of my disheartening statements about training is as follows. With the exception of the big players, SANS, EC Council, CEA, or CompTIA, every small to medium-sized training provider has always started out with the most noblest of intentions. You've all heard it. It's been the same story. Training provider after training provider after training provider. We care about you. We want you to succeed. We want to provide you with the same quality of training as SANS and only charge you $50 a month for it. That's how everybody starts out. That's how everybody starts out. And then the money takes over. And then they have to hire people. And then they have to build infrastructure. And then the Lambo payment comes due. And then costs go up. And then, and next thing you know, they are just like everybody else, where money drives the decision making. Do you really think that they're in it for you if money is driving their decision process? Remember, we joke about shareholder value here, right? Do you think that your value is more important than shareholder value? Never has been, never will be. Right? And so, no, I don't think that any training vendor can care about you. That's what upsets me about training in general, is that nobody, that's why I don't do training anymore. You cannot do training in a capitalistic way that truly and fundamentally cares about people unless you give it away for free. That is the only mark in my mind. This is Neal's personal opinion. It is monetarily impossible to care about you and charge you at the same time. That's my belief. Happy to answer additional questions on that, but that's a firmly held belief that I have. You want to make money, go start a business, not in training. Go work your ass off, go invent something, but not by charging people for training courses. That's a good, I'll answer that one, Kerry. What about the pay what you can model? And I know this speaks specifically to John, and just like when I was the SANS instructor, John and I were really close. I've worked hand in hand with John for a number of years. I've got a massive amount of respect for John, and so I say this with all due respect to John. The pay what you can model is about the only model that I can respect, right? As long as the marketing and advertising around it prioritizes the fact that it's not an obligation, right? The pay what you can model, so long as the person delivering that message prioritizes that payment is not an obligation, but more of a donation, I don't mind it. And I say that because I am one of the rare people who remembers John, and I don't know if he'd want me to tell this story or not, so, this was a long time ago. I'd imagine any statute of limitations is probably well over by now. But I can remember, a long time ago when I first met John. John was teaching SANS material to local businesses in South Dakota out of the basement of his house without charging them SANS prices. And he didn't get in trouble at the time because he kept it on the down low. I don't know. I lost touch with him. I don't know if he ever got in trouble for it, but he knew that he could get in trouble for it. And knowing that he could get in trouble for it, he still took the risk because he cared about people being well trained. So that's why I know that John has a good heart about it, is because he was willing to destroy his livelihood as a SANS instructor to do that for people. So that's my thoughts on the pay what you can model. Residual, good to see you in chat. Drastic changes have occurred in the past 15 years. How can we best prepare for the next 15? I still have 20 plus years left to work. Recognize that the world's going to move fast. And one of the things that I don't know if this is a new occurrence. Maybe it's a new occurrence. I don't know if it is or not. Recently, people seem to be more skeptical of technology. And let's talk about that for a second, right? I don't mean to insinuate that skepticism in technology is bad. What I want to insinuate is that people don't rush to learn about the technology before they shit on it. We saw it with crypto. We're seeing it now with AI. With quantum coming up in the future, if it ever materializes into anything. And I'm not saying that you have to be a nihilist. I'm not saying that you have to adopt AI as a god by any stretch of the imagination. But one of the things that I think holds numerous people back from success is that when something new comes out, they immediately shit on it. And I think that's a fault of anybody who wants to be successful in this industry. I'm not, and again, make no mistake about it, I'm not saying you have to adapt anything. I'm not saying that you have to love it. I'm not saying you have to embrace it as a god. But when it hits the airwaves and your instinctual reaction is, fuck that thing. I think that's how you don't survive the next 15 years. I think we're going to see a rapid acceleration of innovation. Remember, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Sam Altman, like him or not, Beardsec, I believe Beardsec in this, by the way. Sam Altman's vision, my statement is about Beardsec. If that wasn't clear, my statement was not about Beardsec. He knows this. Sam Altman's vision for the future is that he's trying to achieve AGI. He's trying to achieve a model alignment where AI invents things that humans have not and cannot. If he is successful, or if anybody's successful, if Anthropic is successful, if Google's successful, if those folks are successful, the amount of innovation that we will see after that will be monumental, and it will come at you fast. And the only way that you're going to be able to figure out, is it useful? Is it not useful? Does it matter to you in a cybersecurity sense? Can you be better? Can you secure an organization? Do you need to be worried about it from a hacker perspective? The only way that you can be successful there is by having an open mind and leaning into figuring it out. All right? So that's the biggest thing that I'd say. Mentally, if you want to prepare yourself mentally to have an OODA loop, right? Observe, orient, decide, act. Have you a narrow OODA loop that allows you to quickly see where the world is going so that you can observe what's happening. We have an OODA loop command. Go check out the OODA loop video, right? You can observe what's happening. You can orient yourself to the world. You can try to make a decision about what its value is for you, and then you can act upon that decision as quickly as possible. Right? I hope you're joking about the monetize it. Seriously, on the monetization, go build a business. Go build a business. Like, if you guys want a challenge, if you guys go build a business. There is about to be way more business opportunities than you could shake a stick at. There is about to be more business opportunities than you can shake a stick at. And this is fair, right? Zurat and Twitch. I'm not skeptical of the technology itself. I'm skeptical of the economy of AI and the numbers these companies are throwing out in terms of building the compute infrastructure. Those numbers are absolutely fantasy land. We don't know. I don't disagree. By the way, I love your priest transmog in this picture. If you play WoW, hop on over to the World of Warcraft channel inside of our Discord. Come play WoW with the likes of Sonic, Maz, and then we've got a couple people who kind of half-ass play WoW. Like, if you ever seen like the clickers who hit their face on the keyboard, Panzer Tank, who don't know how to log into the UI, Net Frazier, you should come play WoW with us. I don't know. I don't know how true this statement is. Not because any other reason other than I don't doubt some of these people. I don't doubt some of these people. Is your statement true? Your statement is 100% true, right? The numbers that some of these companies, just to put it in perspective, Sam Altman and OpenAI lose, I think the number was $4 or $5 billion a month. Sam Altman tells people that they make $14 billion a year. And he is saying that by 2027, he's going to invest $1.4 trillion in infrastructure. That math ain't mathin'. So Zurat, you're 100% right. That math doesn't math. But at the same time, what if? What if he does it? What if he does it? Don't underestimate some of these people. Right, it's a scam until it isn't, right? And then you're like, holy shit, he did it. I want a golf business with all AI with Optimus bots from Tesla serving you. Go build that one. I'll invest in that one. Couple comments over on YouTube. My question is, how do we win? How do we win the China model, who is light years ahead, but it's unstable? Yet, if they stabilize it, as much ahead of the USA will be. I wonder. I mean, listen, we want competition. We want competition in this space. Competition is good. Competition is very, very good. You have not seen the final form of AI. You have not seen the final form of AI. Are they making any money? Sam Altman claims they're making money. Sam Altman claims he's making money. Not enough to invest $1.4 trillion in infrastructure. What do you think? What do you think the fallout of the AI bubble popping will be? Listen, I think make no mistake. We are in a bubble. Oh God, where did I see this at? Did I talk about this last week? Somebody keep me honest. I mean, I talk to so many people. Sometimes I forget. There are 3 levels to AI. And I'm going to broad stroke this when we talk about AI, right? First and foremost, there is the infrastructure, right? We're talking data centers, we're talking chips, we're talking power, infrastructure, right? So that's layer 1, right? It's infrastructure. Layer 2 is the models, right? So OpenAI, Anthropic, those are the models. And then layer 3 on top of that are people who are building apps, generally speaking, in the ecosystem as a whole, right? So look at that like a pyramid, where you've got infrastructure, models, and apps, basically consumers of AI, right? At the foundational level, Holy Sheep Man, thank you so much for the donation to our Melanoma Research Foundation. I do truly appreciate that. Thank you very much for that donation. That money does not go to me. That money goes directly to the Melanoma Research Foundation. Obviously, that's near and dear to my heart, so I appreciate that very, very much. So at the foundational level, where you have infrastructure, I do not think that is a bubble. That stuff has to exist. That stuff, my belief is that no matter what happens in the other layers, that stuff will exist at the end of the bubble. Hands down. You will always have data centers, you will always need microchips, and you will always need power. Firmly believe in that. Bubble or not, those 3 things have to exist. For whatever the post-bubble version of AI looks like, those 3 things have to exist. So I think infrastructure is safe. The models, I think, is going to be an interesting space to watch, right? Stalinos over on YouTube makes a very valid point, right? China is toe-to-toe with the US companies in terms of building good models. Arguably, they are figuring out how to build models that are more cost-effective, less inference cost, less compute, less power. That's where their focus is. Their focus is accelerating. My concern around Sam Altman and OpenAI is more that I don't think that the OpenAI business model can sustain its competitive edge when it is clear that open source models are just, if not more effective than ChatGPT. And China is proving that. The open source community is proving that. Meta is proving that. Meta has a free model out there called Llama, which is very, very good. Right? So there is a risk in the model space that the innovation that other folks are making on modeling could disrupt that middle tier. And I think that's good. I think that that's very good. And then you have people who are building apps on top of it. I think the people who are building apps at the very, very top, that's your highest risk of bubble right there. I think that is the .com booming waiting to happen. Right there. People who are building AI basically on ChatGPT wrappers are ripe for bubble bursting. And unfortunately, that is where the majority of the workforce will exist, is in that top spot. And so I think that is the biggest risk. If you are working for a company today that is leveraging AI in the product as a market maker, you're at risk of bubble. You're at risk of bubble. I firmly believe that. And so I think that bubble looks just like the .com bubble that I went through in the 90s. I feel very strongly about that. Right? I feel very, very strongly about that. I think that, and it's not, it's what it is that, and I think this affects cost too. Right? I did find an interview with Satya Nadella from Microsoft, who explicitly said that he has GPUs sitting on the shelf that he can't plug in because there's not enough data center and there's not enough power. Right? And so I think that's where the demand exists. The demand exists in infrastructure, and that demand will drive prices up. And as those prices increase from infrastructure to models to the market, you will hit a price inflection point on the tools that are being built on top of AI infrastructure that's not sustainable. Right? Love this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. First time chatter. Mikey, thank you so much for speaking up. We welcome first time chatters. We know we've got a lot of lurkers. Thank you so much for asking this question. For a layman like myself, can you explain the open source versus the model ChatGPT is promoting? Thanks. Abso-freaking-lutely. Right? Just like you would go to GitHub and find a piece of Python code or a React script or anything like that somebody has built, there is an entire ecosystem of people who are building models. And they take a foundational model, and there are lots of foundational models that exist. OpenAI has open sourced one of their foundational models. Elon has open sourced Grok 2. Meta has open sourced Llama. China, specifically Moonshot, has open sourced K2. You can go, anybody in the world can go out and download these open source models completely and totally for free. All right, meaning that you can go to Hugging Face and you can download the model, and if you have the compute, you can load this model into your compute and treat it like ChatGPT without being handcuffed to OpenAI's business model. Anybody can do this today. You may not have a laptop that can support the latest K2, right? The latest K2 is like 400 gigabytes of hard disk space and requires about, a terabyte of RAM to run, right? But there are other models that are optimized for your MacBook Pro, right? There are other models that are optimized for Residuals 3060, right? These are lightweight models. They have small quants. They have limited token size, so you're not going to be able to put through, an entire code-based refactor with them. But you can ask it, what are the recipes for my grandmother's, fettuccine Alfredo? Right? You can ask it, hey, can you write me a Python script using the Scapy libraries that scans all the ports from 1 to 1024 by hand, thus meaning it doesn't have an Nmap signature and has a higher likelihood of evading IDS and IPS. Right? You can do that with a local model. I did it last night. Right? So open sourcing of the models is really just going to the community and seeing what the community has built on top of foundational models, where they have taken their own time, their own money, their own infrastructure, and trained it to be, there are coding models. There are financial models. I downloaded one last night that for those who don't know, I build a lot of trading bots to do, that's what I've got going on over here is I've got some stock trading. So I built a trading bot. I managed to find last night a llama version. So this is Meta's model that they have open sourced. That is a Q4 quant, 8 billion token parameter model that has been explicitly trained on every financial aspect of the market for the last 50 years. Absolutely. When we talk about quants, now this is where I wish eCurve was around, or maybe I'm actually glad that eCurve's not around, because then I had to listen to him go, well, actually, love you, eCurve. The quant talks about how much it leverages the GPU to do the compute. And so for non-GPU friendly models, or systems rather, where you don't have a bank of 15 Blackwells to do compute, I'll pick on Mac because that's what I run and that's what I'm very familiar with from a Mac ecosystem perspective. Mac's neural network is comprised of its M-series chips, the RAM, and the graphics compute that it builds into its Apple Silicon. And so for modeling, it will leverage a neural network to have memory access across all of those pieces of infrastructure. And so a Q4 quant versus like a Q8 quant versus like a Q8 or a 4-bit, all of those are different ways in which it leverages your GPU, your RAM, and your CPU power to run the model. And so there are optimizations that exist that are different, whether you're on a PC with a dedicated GPU and that GPU has CUDA versus not, whether you're on Apple Silicon, M2, M3, M3 Ultra, whether you've got neural net or not. All of those things differ on the type of model you would load. This sounds like I should probably do a session inside a Discord, much like we did for MCP. I can prepare that as an offline training session. Simply pay $9.99 to my course fee and we'll get it done. I'm just kidding. Kidding. But all of that goes into play to how efficient the model uses your RAM and your graphics card and your CPU to run the models locally. There's a lot to this. If you want to play with this, if you absolutely want to play with this, my advice to you is super simple. Go download LM Studio or go install Ollama. Both are available for PC and Mac. Go to Hugging Face. Funny name, I get it. Go to Hugging Face and download a model. Download a super easy model. You can go download the Llama model. You can go download the easy DeepSeek model. Whatever the case is. And you can start playing with it locally. And most of you, listen, I'll be honest with you, most of you aren't going to notice the difference. Like it's not going to look any different to you using a local model versus using ChatGPT. Right? You're going to ask it a question, it's going to give you an answer. It might appear to be slower. It might appear to be faster. That'll probably be the only thing that you actually notice. But in the back end, what you're gaining is you're gaining control. Right? Look at this attack that we just talked about with Anthropic. Right? The thing we talked about with Anthropic. They leveraged Claude Code to connect to MCP to run tool sets. You don't have to use Claude Code. You could run this. You could run MCP on a local model. I labbed that last night. Right? I labbed the Anthropic attack chain last night, where I loaded up. What model did I use? I used offensive Quinn 2.5 Coder, which is a 7 billion parameter model. It's Q4 quant, which means it's optimized for Apple Silicon. Let me see if I can I copy this? Copy the absolute path. Can I paste this? There we go. Sweet. It worked. So if you go to Hugging Face and you search for that model is a model that is trained for offensive security coding task. All right? And so I ran that model in VS Code with the client extension and was able to reproduce the Claude attack that was outlined earlier. Yeah, I mean, it's not, it has already been built. It's the Cisco foundational model. I actually linked that. That's actually in the resources in Discord. It's Cisco's cybersecurity foundational model, and it's really good. I have that one too. That one is really, really, really good. Do I have the 17B one? I'm not sure if I have the 17B one or not. I do not have the 17B one. I do not have the 17B one. But that one is really, really good too. Anyway. Oh, they're making a new one? Y'all, it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. Good. We need more people to make models. Just like we need more people making open source stuff, we definitely need more people making models. Mikey, with the 100 bits, thank you so very much for answering my question. Absolutely. That's what we're here for. Listen, that's why we do what it is that we do. That's why we are here every single Friday answering questions. Because it should be about sharing knowledge. It should be about rising everybody up, make sure that everybody is on the same playing field in this industry. The only limitation should be yourself. The only limitation should be how much effort are you willing to put in to get it done? Right? Speaking of effort to get it done, Callie asked a great question. How's your cancer remission? When is your next checkup? I have a diabetes follow-up and my doctor said I'm crushing it. Thanks for giving me mindset motivation. Cancer remission so far is going good. For those who don't know, I got diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma about 3 years ago. I've had a clean bill of health for the last 12 months. I have, the doctor has informed me that if I can go 24 more months with a clean bill of health, and doctors will never say that you're cured in this space. That's something I've had to come to grips with, is that I will never be cured of cancer. but he has said that my chances of survival are practically 99%, at least until I turn 75. And apparently it is unanimously agreed upon that when you turn 75, your body starts rebelling against you anyway. And I was like, shit, I thought that happened when I turned 40, but whatever. But I'll live a nice, long, healthy life with you all if I can make it a couple more years. Right? So, feeling good. I did so health and wellness has been an interesting journey for me the last 3 years, and I'm happy to talk about this for people who are interested. I had an insanely shitty lifestyle before I got diagnosed with cancer. Practically addicted to Adderall and alcohol and 3 hours of sleep. Like that could have been on my tombstone if I had died anytime before 2022. Adderall, alcohol, and 2 to 3 hours of sleep. Right. Since I've had cancer and fixed my lifestyle drastically, I can honestly say I now understand why I got cancer. I got cancer because I treated my body like a frat house and not like a temple. Right? And I deserved every bit of turmoil that I've had to endure for my cancer journey because of it. Since being diagnosed with cancer, I went from 230 pounds to 170 pounds. I've cut out alcohol completely. I haven't had a drink in 3 years. I've taken up golf. I've dropped my handicap from Saturn to single digits. Right. I'm now in and around about a 6, 7, 8 handicap, depending on how the day's going. I'm part of a league, a national league called the Veterans Golf Association, where there's 3,700 golfers, in the United States of America, and nationally, I'm in the top 100. Right. I'm in the top 100. I've already won 2 tournaments this year for the 2026 season. And I'd be out playing right now if it wasn't 30 degrees outside, right? We're kind of in the off season. So I say all that to say, like, being in remission for cancer is great. But what I value even more is the changes that it's had to my lifestyle to just make me a better human. And I say that in all honesty. Like, I am a better human now than I ever have been in the previous 40 some odd years of my life. Right? I was a shit person. Like, when I look back at pre-2022, Neal, I was a shit person. Right? I'm much happier with myself. And I think that's been my biggest takeaway from cancer. My biggest takeaway from cancer is that I am a better human now than I ever have been in my entire life. And if my story saves one person, then I'm happy to carry. I'm happy to have gone through cancer if my story inspires one person to change their life. I'm happy to have gone through it. I'm happy to have carried that burden. Right? So, I'm glad you're doing good, Callie. I know you've struggled with eating. Your Instagram feed is amazing with the food that you cook. I'm glad you're on the same journey, and I hope you have the same success with your journey that I've had. With that being said, I see BSEC making jokes about the golf game. right? The golf game is good. The golf game is good. I am slightly disenfranchised at the PGA Tour, right? For those who don't know, I started a journey when I got diagnosed with cancer, so I'm only 3 years into my golf journey as well. From nothing to PGA Tour player by the time I'm 49 and a half. That's starting to change. The PGA Tour recently canceled Q School for the Champions Tour. Right? Which was my training camp, if you will. It was my tryouts, if you will, for the PGA Tour. So when you turn 49 and a half, you can participate in Q School. Q School is a multi-stage golf event where the top 5 from each Q School pre-qualification round goes on to a Q School final, and then there are a certain number of tour cards that are given out at the Q School final to officially get your PGA Tour card. And so I was training so that at 49 and a half, I could start participating in Q School in an attempt to get my PGA Tour card. Well, this year, they have canceled Q School for the Champions Tour. And so that has limited one of my premier onboarding opportunities to the PGA Tour, and has unfortunately caused me to rethink a little bit of how I'm going to get to that goal, to be quite honest with you. There are still ways. I can still do Monday qualifiers. I could still go to the U.S. Senior Open. I could stay an amateur and just be like a top-ranked amateur. So I've not given up on the goal, but it has made me rethink my strategy about how I'm going to get to the PGA Tour. I'm still working it. We're just to give you an update for those who have followed along for a while, we've built a golf simulator in the house. We have canceled our gym membership because we're converting one of the other rooms into our house into a gym. And so I'd asked Hector yesterday in chat if he'd like to see more of my training content. I'm going to start doing more of the gym videos and the training content videos from the simulator and the gym that's here in the house, especially here in the off season as we get that built out. Because I'm still gonna train. I'm still gonna train hard. It's been valuable for me. As a matter of fact, it's serious when Carmen has told me that she won't let me quit golf. That tells you something. Her and I have been married now for 10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years, but it's been 10 years. Golf's been in my life for 3 years. And for 3 years, I've apparently changed so much that the wife that I knew would quite literally die for me before I got diagnosed with cancer will not let me quit golf. That's how much golf has changed my life. And I know some of you are like, how the fuck can golf change your life, Neal? It has quite literally, it does. It keeps me busy. It keeps me focused. It keeps me active. It has taught me patience, which some of you who have been around since we started streaming in 2020 know that I had a patience issue. It keeps me mentally sharp. And so, yeah, like golf's going to be a good part of my life for a while. My goal, six handicap sounds really, really good. But just to put it in perspective, I need to be closer to a +4, +5 to be good enough to compete at the PGA Tour. So I still have 10 strokes that I've got to shave off of my game to get where I need to be. With that being said, I travel a ton. If I'm ever in your city, if I'm ever in your state, if you ever come to North Carolina, you can get free mentorship by taking me golfing, and it doesn't have to be on a golf course. You can take me to Topgolf. You can take me to a par 3 course. Shit, you can take me to putt or a chipping and a putting green, and you can get 4 hours of mentorship with me. And I've had people do that. There's an individual who's in this community who lives here in Raleigh, who has quite literally caddied for me quite literally caddied for me and gotten mentorship during a tournament as he has caddied for me. So that is open to anybody. You're welcome to caddy for me. You're welcome to play golf with me. Right? And that's free mentorship anytime I'm there. Love what you do here, man. Helps to keep me focused with the co-working, and then love the chats. We had a big company-wide tabletop incident response exercise yesterday, and the nerd in me had a blast. Good. That's what we're here for. We're here for the chats. We're here for the content. We're here for the co-working. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Real quick, we'll answer a couple more questions. We're going to make a last call for questions. I'm not going to do a co-working stream today because I actually have to do a dry run with Bobby this afternoon. We're doing a dry run to make sure we're ready for Monday. So I can't co-work and do a dry run on the same computer. So unfortunately, no co-working today because we have to do a dry run. But Monday will be a double stream. We're going to have a threat brief in the morning. We're going to have some social engineering content in the afternoon as part of our news show. I promise I'll have a title by then because obviously I'll have to put it up. I'll get Jens to, if Jens is still paying attention, Jens and I will spend some time Saturday to make sure the schedule's up to date. We'll have Brandon next Wednesday for his daily cyber, and then we'll have Tea with a Hacker obviously next Friday. However, the week after that is Thanksgiving. The week after that is Thanksgiving. For Thanksgiving, we'll do the threat brief on Monday, but there is a high likelihood we will not do Tea with a Hacker on Friday because it is Thanksgiving. Yeah, Thanksgiving in the U.S. at least. And then we'll obviously have December that we'll roll into, normal schedule for the weeks of December. Christmas will obviously be Christmas in the U.S. We'll see what things look like then. Who knows? Who knows? So we're coming into that holiday season. This is why I remind you, make sure whatever preferred platform you're watching me from, you do have notifications turned on so that you're aware when we stream as well. And we'll try to do a better job of keeping the schedule up to date on that as well. Can you expand on why you didn't want to renew your clearance? What are the drawbacks? Absolutely. So first and foremost, a clearance does not give you an advantage in the job market. I think that's always the underlying assumption whenever I talk about not renewing my clearance, is that it does not give you an advantage in the job market at all, period, dot, end of discussion. That is a lie. That is a lie that the military, the DOD, the U.S. government, the Transition Assistance Office, that is a lie that they tell you to keep you in because they've spent money on your clearance and they don't want it to go to waste. That's all it is. So it doesn't help you actually get a job. And so once you realize that, you're like, okay, well, if I want to stay in the government, then sure, it helps me stay in the government. So if you want to be a GS employee, if you want to be a government contractor, sure, your clearance helps there to get that job. But here are some of the disadvantages, specifically for me. I couldn't talk about anything I did. My first year of teaching SANS, I got some of the shittiest reviews ever that I'd ever had in teaching ever in my career. Not because I couldn't teach the SANS content, not because I didn't know the content, not for any other reason, other than I was like, how do I tell stories that were relatable to people when all of my stories were classified? And I was under NDA and I still had my clearance. And so telling the stories that were relevant about the things that I was teaching, which was hacking content, were all classified. And as I talked this over with Ed Scotus and John Strand and Bryce Galbraith and all my mentors that I had at SANS, they were like, we get it, Neal, we understand, but you have to find a way to tell those same stories without the classified information, because that was the thing that they imparted upon me most when I was a SANS instructor. People don't come to you to learn the content. So when I talk about my opinions that I have over content creation, this is where those opinions are coming from. They didn't come to you to learn how to do phishing, Neal. They came to hear your stories about all the fishes you've ever done, all the fish you've ever caught. And that clicked for me. That tells me that cyber education is bullshit. Right? People weren't paying $6,000 a course to learn how to run Metasploit. They were paying $6,000 to come hear me speak. Think about that for a second. And Sands knew that. Sands knew that at the time. This was 2013, 2012. Sands knew that at the time. They were paying $6,000 a course to come hear me speak and hear my stories. So anyway, it limited me from being able to share my stories with the community, especially when I got out of the Air Force. Right? When I got out of the Air Force, my clearance limited the types of stories that I could share. Limited if I did any research, what research I could have. I could barely speak at conferences about open source topics because it might give away TTPs that we were using at the agency. Right? And so, for me, that continued to limit the value that a clearance had. On top of that, because I was a TSSCI with special access programs, the 5-year rotation, the 5-year anal probing that you got by OPM, the polygraphs and everything else, just became not worth it. Additionally, in the private sector, right? In the private sector, it's not like you can go to the FBI with your TS clearance, look at JWICs, grab some intelligence, and come back to your unclassified company and share that information. Right? Like, you just can't do that. There's no world where you can have access to classified intelligence and classified indicators and bring that back to a private company and implement it. And maintain your clearance and not go to jail. Right? And so, no, it's not worth it to keep your clearance. It doesn't provide you with a benefit. Exactly, legally. Exactly why InfraGard is so useless. One of my disenfranchised moments with InfraGard is because they just legally can't do that. And so what's the point of InfraGard if they can't share intelligence with you? That's why I think that clearances are also useless for 99.9% of people out there. All right, chat. We're coming to 2 hours. We're going to hit it before the last ad break. There's an ad break. We're going to snooze this ad break right here. That way we don't get caught in an ad break. We're going to take this moment to wrap. Thank you so very much for tuning in today and any other time. Your presence here illuminates and enlightens my day across all the platforms. I'm glad to see everybody's smiling face across all the platforms. Thank you so very much. Remember to tune in Monday. We got a couple streams happening on Monday that I'm super excited to share with you. I need your feedback with new content. As we drop new content, I need you to watch it so that you can tell me if it sucks, if it's worth keeping. How do we change it? How do we change it? Right? How do we make sure that it's delivering on value that is important to you? That being said, I hope you all have a fantastic fucking day and a fantastic fucking weekend. And remember that you're fucking awesome. Right? You are fucking awesome. Come hang out in Discord with us. We'll probably play some video games tonight. If you're the recipient of a sub today, make sure you come hang out in sub chat with us. Great opportunity to come get some free mentorship and just generally hang out and have fun with some more cybersecurity professionals. Remember, whether you're on the red side or the blue side, we're still deciding. Keep learning, and we'll see you next week.